What's going on, everybody? Doc from Average Gamer Guys back yet again into some more Rocket League action. We've got a little bit of a different video for you today. So here's what we're doing. The Training 101 video that we did just a little bit ago, a little over a week ago, did really well. Got a lot of really positive comments on it. A lot of people, especially with this game and everything being so heavy, into the trading side of things. A lot of people, I think, feel like need a little bit of tips. So I sincerely hope you found Trading 101 helpful. If you didn't watch it or check it out, go look back through our Rocket League playlist. It's in there. It's not too far from when this video was uploaded, and has some really good general tips. So what I actually thought would be kind of a neat series, we'll try it out. We'll see what the feedback is on this video. But what I wanted to do was kind of do two things in this video. First of all, I want to talk about some additional trading tips, hints, just ideas for helping you out kind of build your inventory. Again, like I said in the first video in Trading 101, I'm not here to teach you how to make some crazy amount of profit. That's not what I'm here to do. That's not the intent of these videos, because honestly, you have to be able to enjoy. You got to be able to enjoy your setups. You got to be able to enjoy the cars that you have. And the game is about hitting a ball with a car. Now, you want to look cool when you do that, and I hope that my tips here today will be able to help you kind of build towards that and pick up the items that you need without spending a whole lot of money, without buying a whole lot of keys, without getting really lucky in a crate, because again, the odds just are not there. If you're on the channel and you're watching the crate openings, not everybody has the luck that I do, and you don't get that lucky. The reason I get that lucky is because I opened so many of them, sincerely. So I want to give out some more tips today, but I also want to do what I think would be kind of interesting, just to talk through a little bit of market trends. Now, this is going to be more specific. The market trend side of things is going to be very specific to Xbox. So if you are not playing on Xbox, I cannot comment on PlayStation, Steam, or Switch's economy. I can't keep up with it, and I don't, because I don't trade on those platforms, but I do trade on Xbox quite a bit. So I figured it'd be kind of neat just to kind of talk through some of the items, some of the things that at least I'm seeing within the community itself, and just talk about them a little bit. So when we get to that portion, we'll have a little bit of gameplay. You can enjoy a little bit of gameplay. Won't be a whole huge portion of this, but I thought that would be kind of interesting to see and talk through trends, because not everybody understands trends. Not everybody understands the economy of Rocket League and where things are going, and how it can change. So I thought that would be kind of an interesting spin on today's video, and then that's something that we can do relatively consistently. Not every week, probably, more so probably every couple of weeks. So without further ado, I'll get into the baseline stuff that I hope helps everybody in it. And if you're on a different platform and you've got a different thought or idea in terms of ratios and things like that for stuff that I talk about, or something more specific as a tip to your specific trading platform, feel free to leave it in the comments down below. Like I said, I don't trade on those other platforms, so feel free to throw that kind of stuff out there. So the first thing I want to talk about today, and is really just a follow-up to something that I mentioned in the Trading 101 video, but really talked about the ability to just grind, and how do you start from scratch? How do you start from nothingness? Well, the best way for you to be able to do that is honestly just play the game. Playing the game, getting yourself some crates, and more importantly, getting yourselves rares, uncommons, rares, and very rares, and the ability to kind of stash those a little bit until you get to some of the very common tradable rates, and then you can easily, very easily trade that stuff for keys. So for instance, on Xbox, you can very easily find a trade of 2 not crate very rares, which is this. I get this question quite a bit. If you hover over the item and you see that it says Beaten Egg right there, very rare player banner, and you notice that it doesn't have anything else, doesn't talk about a crate or anything else, or show you the contents of the crate, underneath that means it's a non-crate item. You can do that with commons, rares, anything like that. I've got another non-crate very rare here. These not tradable, these are technically non-crate items, basically all your season rewards. But then you go to something like this is a good example, Haunted Hollows. That's the series, that's the crate it's from, and then everything else that you can get in the crate subsequently, that's also everything else that at the same level you can, if you can trade together 5 of these items. You can trade up to the next tier. Obviously, in this crate, you can only go to the imports basically every other crate beyond that, you can take imports and you can trade them up to exotics. You can't trade it up past exotics. So I felt like I needed to explain that a little bit. It's a very, very basic thing, but honestly, not something, especially if you're newer into the game or newer into trading, you might not be able to know. But back to the point. You basically can play, grind out, get non-crate very rares, which, you can trade your uncommons together. You can trade your uncommons, which trade up to rares into very rares. You can trade these at very easy rates. You could easily take 2 of these, trade them for a key. You could easily take 5 of these, trade them for 3 keys. You could easily take on Xbox, you could easily trade 24 of these for 15 or 16 keys. So it obviously would take you a while, but that's why you see a lot of people talking about and wanting to trade for non-crate very rares. They're very stable, very, very stable item. Actually, same thing with non-crate imports and certain other things like that. So that's a good place to start. Now I want to make sure and talk through this and focus on this though, because it was a good comment that got brought up, and it's an important thing to discuss. Some of your commons that you're going to get after drops, or your uncommons rather, that you're going to get after drops, if they end up having a certification, or more importantly they're painted, are actually going to be worth more than just trading them up. So I don't want people to make the mistake, especially Halos. You've got really 2 or 3 that trade at a very, very good rate. Any of your painted Halos you can get more for. Some you can get up to about a non-crate very rare for each, which I would equate to about half a key. Some you can get a key or 2 keys for. You get titanium white, you're looking at probably 3 keys, maybe a little bit more or less, depending on, again, which trade you find. Sky blue and some of the other colors do pretty well to get 2 keys, and then a lot of the other not so popular colors, your saffrons, your pinks maybe, you could honestly, if you wait and you're a little bit patient, can find a key for them. I want to say that because it's important that you don't take my strict advice and accidentally trade up a uncommon that's actually worth a little bit more. So painted Halos are really good. Foam hats trade really well also. So that's something to take a look at. Foam hats are pretty good. Unicorn horns, they used to be a lot more popular than they are, not so much anymore. But you'd be surprised what you can find for some of your painted toppers specifically do really, really well. At the rare slot, you've got a couple others as well. Your catfish and your octopus, those can come painted, and those again also fetch at your rare spot, fetch some pretty decent prices. So I want to put it out there as an additional tip, things to look forward to, because honestly, you're probably going to see those relatively commonly. You might not see them. You're going to have to play quite a bit, but with the new changes in rank up system and stuff like that, you should be leveling up pretty well. And then again, after each level up, you get the chance at either uncommon, rare, or very rare, and it also has the chance to be painted. So keep an eye out for those. Good little tip. Those are also very stable items to trade in too. So if you've got maybe some drones or something from the Rocket Pass, and you find somebody that's wanting to swap some drones for a painted Halo or a catfish or wildcat ears or octopus, you can make those trades and you'll trade into something more stable. That's really the second kind of key advice that I'm going to give you, is it's all about trying to trade. Unfortunately, it's all about trying to trade into items that are a little bit more stable. The one thing that I talk about, and I hear from people a lot, is the fact that they have these items, right? They have these items that they feel like they can't get anything for. This Cobalt Acrobat Animus nobody wants, right? And then they keep trying to push the item, and they just feel like they're not getting anywhere. They've posted it, if you use Reddit, they've posted it on Reddit forever, or they've put it up on Rocket League Garage, and they just can't get anybody to bite for it. What I'm going to tell you with the trading game is just try to be patient. And sometimes that's hard, especially if you don't have a big inventory, or you don't have a lot of items that you can put together into a cool setup. But if you do stumble on some of this stuff, I'm telling you, just be patient. Patience, ironically enough, will end up leading you to eventually find some good trades. And you're going to have days. I have days where I make like no trades at all, right? I don't make any trades. I feel like the day was a waste. I posted, I commented, and it just doesn't ever seem to work out, right? And then I have other days where I do like 30 trades in a day, and it's absolutely awesome. I'll tell you that it just ebbs and flows like that. The reason I say that some of these items, this, for instance, this Cobalt Acrobat Animus, probably isn't worth a whole ton. Interestingly enough, though, at some point there will be somebody that wants this. Now, is it worth saving that item and waiting for that? It honestly kind of depends. And I say that because if you can trade this for something a little bit less, or use this as like an addition to a trade or an ad, and the person ends up taking it, and maybe you get a little bit less value than either you think it is or the market says that it is, in my opinion, that's okay if you can move it into a more easily steady item. What do I talk about easy steady items? Again, that's your non-crate very rares. To a certain extent, that's your crates. Obviously, your keys. Keys are always the king. Everybody wants keys. But you'd be surprised what you can trade into as far as, non-crate imports. This 4-screen breakout, for instance. Somebody probably traded up their non-crate very rares, and they got this. They're not going to do anything with it. They don't want it. They don't have 5 of these to trade up into an unexotic. So they're probably willing to trade for this. Surprisingly, what I do for a lot of my trades that just is very consistent, works a lot, is if somebody's got an item or I have an item that they're interested in, and maybe we disagree on value a little bit or we differ in value a little bit, instead of trying to ask for an additional key, what I'll do is ask for additional ads, and I'll throw out, hey, do you have any non-crate very rares? Do you have any crates, PCC crates, nitro crates, CC4 crates, golden crates, anything that has a relatively stable value that you don't need 30 plus of, which you do need 30 plus accelerators to get a key. You don't need 30 plus PCCs to be able to get a key. So getting 5 or 6 PCC ad when there's a little bit of a disparage in value on a trade that you might be doing is really good, and you can look at that and kind of develop some baseline principles for that kind of stuff that will eventually help you build up some minimal gains. That's really what my whole trading strategy is about. I don't look for huge payoffs. At some point you might stumble on one of those trades. You might get really, really lucky. You might snag the best, certified painted item out of the Rocket Pass within 2 days of the Rocket Pass coming out. That could happen for you. And then at that point, you're going to be really happy because you're going to be able to make a really solid trade for a lot of keys. For most people, probably 95% of the time, you're not going to be able to do that. You might make a key here, you might make a key there, but honestly, incremental value, small ads at a time, is going to be the one thing that probably helps you the most. Now, that's not saying to get into a fair trade and then ask for ads. I see that a lot, especially younger traders or newer traders get into a trade, think they have something set up, and then you've all seen it. If you traded before, they type ad in the chat after you've come to an agreement. Don't do that. You're not going to get it. If you get into that position in that trade, stand your ground. If you think it's a fair trade, ask for the fair trade. If you can't come to an agreement, back out. Move on, take your item, move somewhere else. But little bit incremental value, trying to come up with a fair price for both parties, I think you're going to be surprised. And again, your whole goal should be, unfortunately, it has to be this way, but your whole goal should be that you're trying to move it into a more stable item. Your non-crate very rares, your non-crate imports, painted bodies that do really well. To be honest with you, your endos actually trade pretty well. Your Jaegers trade pretty well for the most part. Mantis, there's a pretty core group of people out there that like the Mantis. Very similar characteristics to the Batmobile. That works out really well. Obviously, your Octanes, if you can get into Octanes, these are very, very stable. Something we'll talk about a little bit later here, but another good item to be able to trade into. Twinsers seem to do okay, not necessarily the best, but there's a group of people out there that will end up trading and looking for them. So it's just figuring out what within your market, what within you see, your trading community want a lot. Sorry, I had to cough there. That's another really important tip that I can get. Whatever platform you're trading on and wherever you trade, try to take a look one day where you just don't post or you just don't comment on any trades. Sometimes that's hard. But spend a little bit of time and just review those. See what people are asking for. See what people are trading. See what people are posting really often. See what people are posting good tradable items for and asking for in return. So by that, I mean, what are people saying? Hey, I have keys and I want this item. Or hey, I have PCC crates and I want this item. Or hey, I have non-crate very rares and I want this item. Something that is going to be, again, a very steady value that they're trading for. Take a look at it, because that's the other part of this whole trading scenario. People ask, How have you built the inventory? How have you done this? One, a whole lot of time. Two, a whole lot of time goes into just understanding the market. There's plenty of opportunities out there for people to help. I'm not a big spreadsheet guy. I think they're too manipulated. I think there's too much that goes on in the background with those. I also think they're significantly out of date, so they're always behind the market trend. They're never caught up. No matter what anybody says, no matter if it's been updated the minute before you looked at it, it's not up to date in my opinion, because the market changes very rapidly. But what I will tell you is, take a look at it, but just review what people are asking for and offering for in your community. Again, if you're on Facebook group, you're on Reddit, you're on Looking for Group, you're on Rocket League Garage, some of those places are a little bit easier to do that than others. But what I think you'll see is if you really take some time to review it and kind of study it a little bit, you'll see what people are trending to and what are asking for. The other thing that's going to be interesting is if you do that, you spend the time to be able to do that, and you kind of watch that market, those little opportunities to be able to trade, a Cobalt Acrobat, Animus GP will come up. Somebody could easily, post that they are making an Animus set. And heck, you might think in your inventory, hey, I actually might have an Animus. I need to check the color. That gives you an opportunity to post, say, hey, I have this Animus. Boom, you'll probably get a pretty decent return on it. Not all the time, but that will happen from time to time. So those are just a couple of baseline tips. Again, if you really want to get significant and serious into the trading side of things, it takes a lot of time. Okay, you're not going to be able to sit there and just pool a bunch of items together and hope that you can trade them up to titanium white Zombas. Sometimes that works, but very, very rarely that does. What works though, again, is your incremental value. Try to take your items and turn them into more stable items. All right, and I think if you do that, again, and it takes time, but if you put the time in, I think you'll be rewarded from that. And don't get too wrapped up in key values. That's the other thing that I see people do a lot. They get so hard pressed for an item because they want to make that profit or they want to make that value out of the item. Here's the interesting thing. If you have an item that only one or two people are looking at, would you not take a little bit less in order to trade that item? Let's say for keys. Maybe you got an item that on paper or people are telling you is worth 3 keys. Okay, but it's something not very popular. Let's take the Animus as another good example, or use that same example rather. That Animus spreadsheet says it's worth 3 keys. Okay, let's pretend for a minute that we believe the spreadsheet. Somebody comes up to you and offers you 2 keys, or 2 keys in a non-crate very rare. Are you going to answer them back that you want 3 keys? In my personal opinion, I wouldn't. 2 keys in a non-crate very rare sounds good to me. Sure, I'll move that, because guess what? I'm getting a decent return. That person feels like they got a fair trade for their items on the first place, because maybe they do believe that it is 3 keys worth. And by doing that, again, you're moving your item, maybe you're more of your niche items, into something that's more valuable. You can do that with your PCCs and your non-crate very rares. Eventually, as you add those up, if you were to take 15 of your items and turn them into non-crate very rares, guess what? You got 15 non-crate very rares that you can easily turn around and sell for quite a few keys, probably 12 keys or so, if you split them out 3 to 5 on Xbox. So just a little thought there. That's a thought process. It's a mentality. You got to kind of study your market. But I think if you guys get into that and are able to do that, you'll see that you'll have a lot more success. So with all that being said, some of the items that I'm kind of keeping an eye on and seem to be trending as they always typically do, at least in the Xbox market, interestingly enough, is we've seen a little bit of an uptick in Octane prices. I feel like these, again, are a very, very steady item. I feel like this is something that kind of ebbs and flows a lot. You see people obviously really wanting to trade into them. And with it being the most common car, it's not surprising to me that we're going to see those values probably over the course of time just very, very steadily rise. Now, what's interesting is that the volume of them really probably is not changing. It's growing kind of probably as the community grows. But what I think is happening is people are putting a little bit more value in them, and they're understanding that hanging on to them as a more stable platform is a good idea. So I think that's probably leading to a little bit of the trend. None of them have really spiked beyond the titanium white. Titanium white Octane is one of those rare beast animals out there that, in my opinion, is going to continue to just climb and climb very, very steadily. Going to be a very steady climber. I don't know if that'll change in the near future or long-term future. Obviously, Psyonix can do any number of things to the trade up system that would impact that. But for the foreseeable future, I feel like that's going to continue to climb. And like I said, rest of the Octanes, it'll be interesting to see what they do. But on an Xbox, especially the last 2 weeks or so, have been pretty steadily and just like barely kind of inching up a little bit by a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see. The other one that we have to talk about, and is talked about a ton, especially if you're into the community and you're doing any kind of trading at all, and definitely on Xbox, is your Apex. Your Apex wheels are just absolutely astronomically climbing right now, and it's amazing to see. If you have some, more power to you. My personal opinion is hang on to them. The only thing that's going to absolutely crash the Apex market will be is if they get released again in another season of RLCS. Now, what's interesting is I would not hold that back from Psyonix, because what's pretty interesting is they did this not too long ago. They brought the Apex back, I think, for the season finale, the season finals, the championships, and that obviously significantly impacted the prices. Now, it affects different tiers different ways. So your lower tier colors, your black, your saffron, colors like that get impacted a lot harder than, say, your titanium white does. But what's interesting to do is this market, Rocket League's market, and I think this is probably applicable to all the different markets on Rocket League, doesn't matter what platform you're trading on, is the term of panic selling. What is panic selling? If you're not familiar, panic selling is basically where somebody posts an item and they're looking for X amount of value. Say that's the value that it's trading at. Interestingly enough, we can use Dissolver as a very recent example. Dissolver recently has seen a downturn. I think that was in part one for two reasons. People panic selling a little bit, especially as the volume of them in PCC started to increase. We saw more of them come to the market, so people were trying to trade it faster. What ends up happening, though, is people post them. They don't keep it at one value. So I post it for 50 keys. You come in behind me. You see mine hasn't been sold, and I'm still looking for 50 keys. You go ahead, you post yours for 49 or maybe 48. You're going to want to call it, quote-unquote, a quick sell. You just want to get the keys. Somebody comes in and buys it. Maybe, maybe not. Or maybe they don't. What ends up happening is this snowball effect when you have a lot of people doing that, picking it up or having one that then tries to sell it, is people try to cash that item out because they thought it was worth X amount of value, and it seems like it might be decreasing. Now, what's interesting about panic selling and just the market in general is that sometimes that's the case and sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just a slow day of trading or a slow couple of days of trading. Maybe people are just waiting to feel out to see what happens. But when you get that snowball effect, you get those to fall in value. Now, Dissolver's not the greatest example because the market increase, especially with it coming into the PCC crate, definitely did impact it. And I think was part of the reason it's dropped down a little bit. It's also definitely got a lot more competitors now. But we've seen Dissolvers, mainframes, solar flares all take a pretty significant hit, especially after being in a PCC crate. And that's rightfully so. Again, the volume of them is up, which when there's more volume and maybe not as many people are looking for it, it's going to drive the price down a little bit. I think those have all settled relatively well, probably close to where they will remain as far as they're seen, as far as usability. That's the other big thing, especially with black markets, is you get a lot of hype up at front with those, especially for new crates, and then we see the values typically drop off as they find their ranking, if you will, with how the community feels about the design and what you can do with them. Obviously, painted versions of like mainframe was interesting because it brought a lot of different stuff out, but you can see even mainframe versus wet paint. Wet paint, was a really cool decal when it first came out, but not a lot of people used it, even the painted versions. And it very quickly found itself below mainframe, which is, in my opinion, and I think the community's opinion, just a better overall black market as far as the design and look features. So that's just a couple of thoughts on a couple of the items. Obviously, we talked some bigger items here, but hopefully moving forward in the future, we'll kind of talk market watch a little bit and maybe talk a little bit about the different dynamics of some of the other maybe lower priced items within the community. And like I said, only for Xbox specific, but I thought it'd be kind of a neat discussion, get some discussion going about what you guys think. Let me know down in the comments below if you think I'm on base or off, and feel free to have this is one of those videos where I feel like we could have a really interesting in-depth conversation, just kind of what's going on with Rocket League trading in general, the markets. If you have any specific things or thoughts as far as your specific market, if you're on PlayStation or Switch or Steam, feel free to add those in below. Like I said, I don't know those markets, not sure if you guys are having similar trends. I feel like you may be with some of these bigger items that we talked about today, but really curious to hear what you guys think. And like I said, share your thoughts below. If you have any questions, if you're newer to trading, like I said, shoot over, check out our Trading 101 video. We posted just a couple, like I said, a little over a week ago. And feel free to ask down below. We'll see if we can't be helpful as a community as well. I think I've talked enough. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the background gameplay. Really enjoyed making this video. Like I said, a series I think I want to continue based on your feedback here in the near term, maybe every 2 weeks or so. We'll just kind of see how things go. If there's significant changes, maybe we'll do a quick market watch update, and we'll see. And like I said, we'll see how the videos go. So, Doc from Average Gamer, guys, as always, thank you so very much for watching. If you're new, please do make sure hit that subscribe button, hit that like, check out some of our PCC and just crazy crate opening videos and all the other stuff we got coming on the channel. And then stay tuned, as you guys know, more where that came from. So, Doc from Average Gamer, guys, thanks as always. Catch you in the next one. Peace.